There's been a lot of talk, lies really, about the disastrous ratings for the Olympics. NBC has paid billions of dollars for the rights to exclusively broadcast the Olympics over the next decade or so. And the ratings that they're being given in return doesn't really justify that investment. Depending on the site that you're viewing, everyone has a reason, or in some cases, an excuse as to why ratings are rapidly declining. If you're viewing a woke site like the New York Times, they might blame cord cutting. If you're visiting a site like Outkick, they're going to say it's woke politics. I would agree with them. The politicization of the Olympics is the reason and the only reason that NBC has lost 15, 20 million viewers for the Olympics. Towards the end of the video, I'm going to outline everything that's happened thus far that is causing people to turn away from the Olympics. First, though, since there is so much misinformation out there, what I decided to do this morning, early this morning, because it's like 6 o'clock while I'm recording this video, was compile all the excuses the woke media is using for declining ratings and bust each myth one by one. The website Mediaite actually compiled much of this list for me. However, they made a list of explanations as to why the ratings are low, besides the negative impact of woke politics. Now, I don't know if I would consider Mediaite a woke outlet. The site's owned by Dan Abrams, but most of these excuses they come up with have been used by multiple media outlets over the last week or so. All right, the first excuse, and one of the most popular, cord cutting. This is the excuse used by the media outlets that don't do their homework, that are clearly too lazy to just do a little bit of research. The ratings numbers that are released include streaming numbers. Last Friday, for example, the Olympics averaged 15 million viewers, 10 million from linear television, the other 5 million were watching on Peacock. Cord cutting is the same excuse the media used to justify the NBA's record low ratings this year. The media has become reliant on cord cutting, but since streaming numbers are now included in the ratings, it just doesn't work anymore. All right, excuse number two, lack of superstars this year in the Olympics. This is one of my favorites because this is an example of the woke media disrespecting their own. For starters, the Olympics lack star power for every event. The vast majority of Olympic athletes are unknown to the general public. Besides Simone Biles, going into the Olympics this year, could you name another girl on the gymnastics team? Can you name an American on the swim team? Stars are born during the Olympics. They're not stars going into it. Even with that being the case, there were plenty of big names heading to Tokyo because the media has spent the last 2 or 3 months promoting them. Now, all of a sudden, the media is claiming the Olympics lack star power. The problem is they promoted athletes that America is rejecting. Megan Rapinoe, Gwen Berry, Laurel Hubbard. Team USA in basketball is compiled of some of the biggest stars in the NBA. But because the NBA has ruined its public image, America has no interest in supporting them. So the problem is not a lack of star power in the Olympics. The problem is the wrong kind of star power. The media spent months promoting anti American athletes. Then they sit back and wonder why the country's not supporting them. Not hard to figure it out. The third excuse, and another lazy one, the COVID restrictions. Again, this has a minimal impact on overall television ratings. Lack of crowds has a major impact on the NFL and NBA, but most Olympic events aren't predicated on crowds to draw ratings. Gymnastics, track and field, swimming, golf. Crowds have little to no impact on those events' drawing power. Hell, in golf, the crowd is expected to be silent. It's the same in gymnastics. Mediaite says the lack of crowds sapped the energy and joy out of the Olympics. It's just not true. I don't think so anyway. The damn wokers sucked the life out of the Olympics. Crowds are critical in the NFL, the NBA, because they can directly impact the outcome of a game. The crowd controls the momentum. There is no momentum in swimming. They swim from one end of the pool to the other, and then they're done. Same with the diving competition. This is another example of an event where the crowd is expected to be silent. All right, another excuse, and this is absolutely ridiculous. The Olympics are being played in the wrong year. Really? Really? This is the same excuse the media tried to use for the NBA last year. The NBA playoffs are starting in August. People can't adjust to watching the NBA in August and September. The media is claiming since the Olympics are happening in 2021 instead of 2020, it lacks the feel of being important. They're saying since it's not occurring in a regularly scheduled year, it's thrown off the rhythm of the television viewer. Now, I can't even begin to explain this logic to you because there is no logic to it at all. If anything, postponing the Olympics should have boosted television ratings this year. There are many people out there who love the Olympics, or used to anyway. With them being postponed a full year, you would figure the audience would be yearning to have the Olympics back. And they probably were, until the media and certain athletes ruined the experience for them. All right, next up, Japan is 13 hours ahead of America. Not being able to televise the events live is hurting ratings. We've talked about this one before, and look, NBC not being able to broadcast the Olympics live in prime time does have a small effect on the ratings, but it is not the reason 15 to 20 million people who usually watch the Olympics are deciding not to watch. NBC deals with time zone issues for the Olympics damn near every event. 2012, they were in London, so live events aired during the afternoons instead of prime time. The 2008 Olympics were in Beijing. I didn't hear complaints about ratings in 2008. That's because when it comes to the Olympics, airing the events live isn't as big of a deal as it is with more traditional sports here in America. Yes, people can get the results ahead of time, but people who love the Olympics are going to watch anyway, and people who will watch won't check for the results. This is something the media can't seem to understand. People watch the Olympics to support their country, and they watch because these events, they only see them every 4 years. The NBA plays 82 games during its regular season, every year. Major League Baseball, 162 games. One of the reasons the NFL is so popular is scarcity. There's only 17 games during the regular season. Every game is special. Every game is a big deal. It's the same thing with the Olympics. Every 4 years, the best swimmers in the world compete, track and field, so on and so forth. Just because they're not airing live, it doesn't matter as much because people know they're not going to see it again for another 4 years. And the final excuse, people have too many choices. This is another example of a lazy excuse by the media. Yes, there are more programming options today than there ever have been, but people have always had choices. If the Olympics were appointment television, it doesn't matter how many choices people have, they would still be watching. People have the same amount of choices September to December that they do in July and August. Somehow, the NFL still draws big ratings. The amount of choices people have is absolutely irrelevant. If you're presenting something that people want to see, they will come, they will watch. Somehow, while all these other sports leagues are declining in the ratings in the last 12 to 18 months, including the Olympics, the UFC has found a way to flourish. The UFC competes with the same things that the Olympics are competing with, yet ratings for the UFC continue to grow, continue to go up. They are keeping ESPN Plus afloat with their pay-per-views. Why? Why is the UFC growing while every other sports ratings are in decline? Because Dana White refuses to go woke. Not only that, Dana White's outspoken about calling out the stupidity. People have respect for it. This country is dying for real men right now to step up. There are no real men on the woke side. The men on the woke side, they're wearing dresses acting like women. Just think about everything that's happened so far with the Olympics that have convinced Americans to boycott. Gwen Berry turning her back on the American flag and the national anthem. To add insult to it, she places a shirt over her face that read activist athlete. The International Olympic Committee bowing to the wokers and allowing them to protest before Olympic events. That wasn't enough. They wanted more. So the woke athletes banded together and they penned a letter to the IOC accusing them of silencing their right to free speech. Some of the names who signed that letter included LeBron James and Gwen Berry, who obviously are confused with how free speech works. I actually had to explain this in the comment section of one of my videos the other night. YouTube has allowed me to build this platform, okay? But this is my platform. I built it from scratch. And with the help of you guys in the audience, it's grown to what it is today. I can say whatever I want on my platform. That's how it works. The Olympic platform doesn't belong to these athletes. When you are given the privilege to compete in the Olympics, you're representing America. All of America. You don't get to choose which part of America you represent. In the case of Gwen Berry, she has chosen to represent the oppressed in America, which means she represents no one because there isn't one single person being oppressed in America, by the system anyway. All right, let's see, what else has turned people off from the Olympics? Megan Rapinoe and the women's soccer team kneeling in support of Black Lives Matter before games. Gwen Berry saying Sunday that she's going to continue to protest, and if she makes it to the medal podium, she will continue to embarrass her country. Raven Saunders protesting Sunday on the medal podium. I mean, damn, don't we have so much to be proud of here in America? Look at the people representing us. We have picked the lowest of the low to represent us on a global stage. And the media wonders why people aren't tuning in. Seems pretty simple to understand to me. The Olympics are kind of like a high school graduation. You have 4 years of high school, and you get to experience graduating once in those 4 years. You look forward to graduating, saying goodbye to your friends, starting the next chapter in your life, the weekend of parties after graduation, becoming an adult, starting college. It is an exciting time in your life. It's the same thing with the Olympics. People used to get excited about it. They only happen once every 4 years. Now, what if I told you that your high school graduation would feature people calling you racist? I told you that you were required to wear a mask. None of your friends and family could attend. Instead of a party afterwards, you would be required to attend a class on critical race theory so you understood your inherent racism. Would you get excited about that? That is the 2021 Olympics in a nutshell, and that's why viewership is at near record lows. The wokers have taken all the fun out of it. All right, time to let me know what you think. I busted the media's lies regarding why ratings are low. Do you think I'm right or am I wrong? Let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys later.